Good afternoon, it's Jason, and this is your Tuesday Drive. Good to see everyone today. This week I want to mention relationship building and the importance of relationship building. A couple years ago, I did a leadership podcast with Andy Stanley. I attend one of Andy's churches, and he is absolutely a dynamic preacher. And his podcast, leadership podcasts, are equally as dynamic. If you haven't subscribed to one, I strongly encourage you to do so. They are wonderful, and he's a great mentor in that area. One of the things he was talking about relationships in the church in this particular podcast and about leadership in the church. And he said a quote that has stuck with me for since the time that I heard it. And he said this. He said, the gravitational pull of religion is toward rule keeping rather than relationship building. And this is because I remain in control. First time I heard about that, I thought that exact same thing is what we're doing in classrooms with classroom management. So I just replaced classroom management with religion. So it'd read this: the gravitational pull of classroom management is toward rule keeping rather than relationship building. This is because I, the teacher, remain in control. And we know how well that works. When we focus on control and compliance, it's not near as successful as when we build relationships. I'll give you an example real quick. My first day on the job as a principal, I had this young man. I was walking down the 7th grade hall and just observing things that were going on, helping students open lockers, helping them find their way. And this young man was in the hallway, and he was absolutely standing out among everybody else. Not only was he head and shoulders taller than everyone, he had this booming voice. He had commanded everyone's attention in the hallway. And what he was doing, he was hollering down the hallway at another student, and he was making fun of him. I took it in a playful tone. It sounded like that he knew the boy. I think the boy was wearing something purple, and he said something about him looking like Prince in the Purple Rain or something to that effect. So, the students around chuckled and laughed. I just made a mental note. At that moment, I was not going to address that with him in front of everyone else, because we know how that would have went. He would have lost face with his peers, and I never would have recovered from that with that student. So I just filed it away. Kept an eye on him all week, and probably around Thursday, I was in the hallway and he was in the hallway. And I just watched him coming down the hallway, and there was not a student that he passed by that he didn't speak to, shake their hand, joke with them. It was as if he knew everybody in the building. We had merged schools that year, so I know he didn't know everybody, but it didn't matter to him. And so I called him over. He immediately got a little bit defensive, and I told him I just wanted to introduce myself and meet him, because I had noticed during the week that there was not a stranger in the building to him, and that he really just looked like the mayor walking down the hallways greeting all of his constituents. And so when I asked him his name, he told me, I said, yeah, I'm not going to call you that. I'm going to call you the mayor, because I think you are the mayor of our school. And come to find out, I knew nothing about his past, but he had been in some trouble and kind of been a handful from some teachers throughout his schooling. But every time I saw the mayor, I asked him how he was doing. I talked to him about leadership, and we had a phrase, and I'd say, Mayor, leaders lead, and he would say, all the time. And so anytime I would see him, I'd just reinforce that to him. As a leader, he leads all the time. We talked about when nobody's around, nobody's watching, a leader leads all the time. And so the mayor and I developed a great relationship. Whenever anybody was in our building, special guests, whether it was the superintendent or anyone coming to visit our school, other school systems, assistant superintendents, it didn't matter. I made sure they met the mayor of our school and told him why he was the mayor. And he had a great year, great 2 years. He's in high school now. And the mayor's been pretty successful. He obviously, like every child, he's going to make some mistakes, but he didn't make anything. He made no life-changing mistakes. Springtime of his 8th grade year, he was in the lunch line, and another student made a disparaging remark about his mother, not knowing that his mom was extremely ill and had been ill for a long time. And Jordan was pretty much taking care of himself. And I found him in the counseling office, tears running down his face, sobbing uncontrollably. And I walked in to ask what was going on. He stood up and he wrapped those big bare paws around me. Now, I'm somewhere between 6 feet and 6'3", depending on what convenience store I'm leaving, and somewhere between 200 and 300 pounds. We don't need to get real specific about that. But the mayor's every bit as big as I am, and probably bigger. And as he had those arms wrapped around me, crying on my shoulder, I asked him why was he so upset. He walked away. He did the right thing. But he was so angry and so mad that someone would make that remark. And he said, Mr. Byers, the only thing that kept me from hitting that guy was that I knew that I would disappoint you. That is nothing to do with me, nothing to do with anything that I did. But it does speak to the power of relationship building in our schools. We have got to do. We've got to focus on building relationships. Stop focusing on the rule keeping. If we focus on the relationships, students will not want to disappoint us. Every student needs a champion. Every student needs someone that's going to believe in them and be in their corner no matter what. I'm going to post 2 videos to my channel that illustrate the power of relationship building. One is a student, DJ Bautiste. DJ was in school in Mississippi. He was in and out of the juvenile system. You'll hear his story. And it wasn't until he met a teacher, Mrs. P, who invested in him and decided to build a relationship with him, that his life changed. And it's a powerful, powerful story. So you'll see that story posted on my channel. The second story is a video clip from a movie called Facing the Giants. If you haven't seen the movie, I encourage you to watch it. And it's about a young man named Brock. And Brock was a natural leader, just like the mayor. And Brock was leading in the wrong way on the football team. And his coach in this scene challenges him and pushes him beyond what he thinks he can accomplish. And Brock is changed from that experience because his coach believed in him, challenged him, pushed him, and invested in him. And it makes a life change for Brock. We have DJs and Brocks and mayors in our school. I promise you they're going to lead in your school. I promise you they're going to make a difference in your school. But it's us to channel it in that positive direction if we sense that it could be channeled in a negative direction. So seek out the Brocks, seek out the DJs, seek out the mayors this week. Do what you can to win them over and be in your corner, and you can empower them to lead in your school. And it'll make a great difference in the school. It'll pay great dividends throughout the school year. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.